December 25th, 1996. The Ramsey family was enjoying what seemed like an idyllic Christmas night in their Colorado home. But just a few hours later, their world would be shattered. JonBenet Ramsey, a beautiful 6-year-old girl and a pageant star, was tucked in bed after a night of holiday celebrations, unaware that someone was plotting her fate. The next morning, JonBenet's mother, Patsy Ramsey, woke up to discover her daughter was missing. A ransom note was found in the house, demanding $118,000, an amount suspiciously close to John Ramsey's bonus. Panic set in, and the search for JonBenet began. But what initially seemed like a kidnapping quickly spiraled into something far darker. In the early hours of the investigation, the police began to suspect that the answer to JonBenet's disappearance may lie closer to home than anyone could have imagined. The family members, JonBenet's parents, Patsy and John, and her older brother Burke Ramsey, would soon be placed under the microscope. The ransom note left in the Ramsey household was bizarre, handwritten on a piece of paper from the family's own home. It was long, detailed, and had a strange tone that didn't match the usual demands of a typical kidnapper. In fact, it raised more questions than answers. Some experts believe the note was a red herring, designed to throw off investigators. But others felt the note itself spoke volumes about the psychology of the killer. It was intentionally verbose, oddly specific, and somewhat amateurish, suggesting someone with a need for control, perhaps someone who knew the family. This ransom note, combined with the unexplained behavior of the family during the early hours of the investigation, began to make some investigators uneasy. Could it be that the Ramseys themselves were involved? Was the ransom note written to deflect suspicion? The investigation took a disturbing turn when, after hours of searching the house, JonBenet's body was found in the basement of her family's home. The sight was beyond comprehension. The young girl had been bludgeoned, strangled, and found with a piece of her own clothing used to tie her wrists. There were no signs of forced entry into the house. The ransom note had been written, yet JonBenet had been killed inside the home. The circumstances surrounding her death were complex, deliberate, personal, and haunting. It became evident that whoever had killed JonBenet knew her well. As detectives began to examine the scene more closely, the question remained: who would commit such a horrific act against a young child? The answer, it seemed, lay within the dark emotional dynamics of the Ramsey family itself. The investigation quickly became a media circus. Reporters swarmed the Ramsey household, and the public began to scrutinize every detail. The spotlight fell on the family as suspicions grew. Was Patsy Ramsey involved in the crime? Was John Ramsey hiding something? And what about Burke, the 9-year-old brother who was in the house that night? The Ramsey family's behavior during the investigation raised many eyebrows. They appeared cooperative, but their emotional responses were difficult to interpret. Patsy was often seen crying, yet some found her tears forced. John's stoic demeanor was also questioned, and the more investigators dug into their history, the more secrets came to light. In the weeks that followed, experts began to theorize that the murder was an inside job, and that one of the family members might have been involved in JonBenet's death. The emotional manipulation, the family's responses to questioning, and their conflicting accounts cast doubt on the original narrative. As the investigation continued, multiple theories emerged, each more confusing than the last. Some believed that an intruder was responsible, others pointed to family members. And still, some speculated that Patsy Ramsey had unintentionally killed her daughter in a moment of rage and staged the scene to cover up the crime. But even more unsettling were the false confessions and potential suspects who emerged over the years. Each person who seemed to know something about the case or who was suggested as a suspect, became a part of the web of psychological manipulation. Bizarre theories and conflicting narratives about the killer's identity became the subject of endless speculation. The complexity of this case wasn't just in the lack of evidence, but in the psychology behind the family dynamics, the media frenzy, and the relentless pressure placed on the Ramseys. Could someone close to JonBenet have been manipulated into committing such a crime? Or was there something even darker lurking within the walls of their home? To this day, JonBenet Ramsey's murder remains unsolved. Despite years of intense investigation, numerous suspects, and endless speculation, no one has ever been officially charged with her death. The case remains a mystery that continues to haunt the public imagination. The psychological scars left on her family and the investigation are undeniable. The emotional manipulation by the media, the conflicting testimonies, and the questions surrounding the Ramsey family's involvement continue to fuel public debate. But in the end, JonBenet Ramsey's story is a haunting reminder of how psychological manipulation and family dynamics can be just as complex and dangerous as the murder itself. In the world of crime, sometimes the answers are elusive, but the questions about JonBenet Ramsey's murder remain as powerful and disturbing as ever, leaving us to question, who is responsible for the death of this innocent child? Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel using the link below.